Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 420 based on novel. So let's start. Lingu, there is a passage at the top of the towering mountain range, which directly connects to the bottom of the mountain range, and this is where the so-called Linghai is located. The shape of Linghai is quite strange, like ordinary mountains and rivers, but the power contained in it is extremely surging. What is even more surprising is that in the Linghai, the further down, there are groups of medicinal materials wrapped by special forces. Lying quietly in the depths of the Linghai Sea, waiting for everyone to collect, and these medicinal herbs are the last medicinal herbs that thousands of contestants are missing. Is this the so-called Linghai? The Tongtian handwriting of the Yarrow family is really surprising. A few hours later, Xiao Yan came here safely, apparently without encountering any obstacles from other powerhouses along the way. Looking up, Xiao Yang was standing in an open area composed of rocks. Looking around, a sea of spirits that stretched for thousands of miles emerged. What caught my eye was a huge sea of vigorous vitality. The entire sea area was almost 1,000 feet in size. The waves were sparkling, and the figures of some contestants were constantly suspended in the sea of spirits. Besides, black shadows seemed to see when they arrived at Xiao Yang's figure, without any hesitation, their toes lightly tapped in the air, and immediately blasted away at the spirit sea below. They didn't want to have anything to do with a monster like Xiao Yang. To collect the last medicinal ingredients is the last step of refining the medicinal pills. The quasi-sacred rank 8 medicinal pills, I don't know if they can be successfully refined. Xiao Yang looked at the surging spiritual sea in front of him. His eyes couldn't help but there was a touch of heat. The 8th rank holorank medicinal pill is not a small challenge for the current self, but the result is worth a try. If successful, Xiao Yang's breakthrough to the holorank is just around the corner. Wong buzzing. As Xiao Yang's voice fell, the spiritual sea below suddenly wriggled, and light clusters formed by dazzling soul power suddenly flashed out from below. It seems that this last step is not so simple. Xiao Yang smiled calmly, and his heart was slightly vigilant. Xiao Yang looked at these powerhouses emerging from the bottom of the spirit sea, except for a few people from the ancient race. It seems that most of them have already gathered here. There is a faint trace of blood on the sleeves of their bodies, and an extremely ***** aura emerges from the blood, which is obviously just contaminated, and even the voice is extremely embarrassing, more like some creature's chase. Hehe, brother Xiao Yang is really in time. The approaching people approached 100 people, all of them fell lightly on some rocks beside Xiao Yang, and smiled at Xiao Yang, but even so, it was difficult to hide their panic and anxiety. If you have something, just tell me. Xiao Yang's eyes were icy cold, and he glanced around lightly. Xiao Yang didn't intend to trust these guys, and the strange aura on them made Xiao Yang feel that he was always in trouble. Something is not quite right. Brother Xiao Yang, Linghai below is the last part of collecting medicinal materials, but there is a world-shattering monster below that is blocking our progress. It's hard for us to unite with everyone. Some figures couldn't help but flatter Xiao Yang, and the implication was obviously to let Xiao Yang take action. Where are the favored sons of the ancient race? Xiao Yang glanced at random, looking at the turbulent spiritual sea in front of him, and immediately understood that what these people said was true. There was indeed a terrifying force at work below, but nothing happened. Guanji hangs high. Xiao Yang doesn't want to be a coolie in vain. Brother Xiao Yang, we won't hide from you anymore. Shun Hong and Yang Xian used us as a shield on the grounds of uniting their power. They both pressured Ling Zixi to force you to show up, but after they united the ancient race with our power, the two of them turned out to be evil, directly angered this guardian beast in advance, and used the power of the coalition to fight against the beast, and the two of them followed suit to collect medicinal materials, and now other ancient races are fighting fiercely with the beast. I am afraid they are facing a life-and-death crisis. Some the strong men couldn't help but looked at each other in dismay, and said with self-blame, obviously they underestimated the ambitions of Shun Hong and Yang Xian. A world-shattering monster. Xiao Yang murmured, but he did not expect that Yang Xian and Shun Hong would actually play such a trick. This is also something that can't be helped. Yang Xian and Shun Hong are the leaders of these guys, but the attitude of Hunmu Yaoyichan and the others is neither plague nor fire. Otherwise, once these guys change from time to time, I am afraid that they will be the unlucky ones. The strength of the world-shattering warcraft is probably not inferior to the real powerhouses of the late 8-star fighting immortals among us humans, and it is deep in the depths of the spiritual sea, guarding the medicinal materials we need, plus its strength and wisdom is no different from that of human beings. and even the arrogant sons of the ancient races will only be defeated. If it wasn't for them just now, I am afraid that all the powerhouses in the field would have their heads in different places. Du said, after a while, I was afraid that the injury on their bodies was the result of the monster below. If it wasn't for Hunmu and others to stop them, I am afraid that their strength would have become their meal. Ling Zishi is also down there? Xiao Yang asked. Yes. After listening to Xiao Yang's exit, they quickly replied. With a sound, Xiao Yang didn't hesitate, and the energy of his whole body was released, wrapping his body from the sea water, and one jumped directly into it. Just after submerging into the sea of spirits, a chill that penetrated deep into the bone marrow and even the soul swept out, causing Xiao Yang to unconsciously shudder. Wong buzzing. Xiao Yang's figure just started to descend, and suddenly a monstrous force below burst out like a volcanic eruption. Everyone can clearly feel that all the energies of heaven and earth in the spiritual sea become boiling and rippling at this moment. The entire spiritual sea trembles violently, and waves of 100 meters in size continue to overflow. Bursts of fierce and violent evil spirits swept out from the bottom of the sea. One after another figure was slapped at will by these waves like ants, and the screams were extremely miserable. They were already scarred by the waves, and they were directly rolled up by the waves to a height of 100 meters. The voice seemed very eerie. Going out? Are we going to die here? Lord Xiao Yang, please help us. Seeing this shocking scene, the bruised contestants had no fighting spirit and couldn't help but say in a choked voice. At this time, they didn't care too much. Too many, I can only ask Xiao Yang for help. Bang bang bang. At the moment when everyone panicked, an abyss vortex suddenly appeared in the spiritual sea, and then one after another silhouette was thrown out like garbage, many of which were the pride of the ancient race. How on earth did these guys provoke the guardian beasts and make them so angry? Seeing this appearance, Xiao Yang's figure suddenly retreated, his feet directly on the Linghai, looking at the bottomless abyss in the center of the Linghai, a scalp-tingling palpitations swept across. Out. Ling Zixi. After a while, in the abyss of the vortex of Linghai, Ling Zixi and other ancient races' favored sons also emerged, but they were extremely embarrassed as if they were thrown out by someone. Xiao Yang's speed skyrocketed when he saw this. Move up and pick up Ling Zishi. Xiao Yang, hurry up. The monster below is too powerful. Ling Zishi's breath was quite weak, a trace of bright red blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth, and his pale face was obviously seriously injured. What the is going on? Xiao Yang took a look and found that not only the spiritual race, but other ancient races, such as the Thunder race, the Stone race, etc., were also thrown out of the sky, only Hunmu and Yaoi no trace of dust. Yang Xian and Shen Hong were originally planning to deal with you together on the grounds of joining forces, but they seem to have discovered a huge treasure in the depths of the Linghai Sea. They cheated and angered the guardian beast in advance. Ling Zishi's breath recovered a little, and said in a deep voice. Bang bang bang. Before the sound fell, hundreds of figures emerged from the vortex of the spiritual sea one after another, and one after another monstrous waves swept out uncontrollably. Waves emerged from the vortex of the spirit sea. Boom. The behemoth roared, and the water flow all over its body wrapped around its body, a huge shadow enveloped most of the spiritual sea, and the vast and violent aura spread out, making the hearts of countless strong men tense, and a wave of death sprouted. Out. What kind of creature is this? Xiao Yang resisted this extremely terrifying depression, his eyes locked tightly on the behemoth that appeared, and he lost his voice. Ignoring the doubts of Xiao Yang and the others, huge waves were rolling over and over, and the entire Linghai surface was wriggling like boiling lava. This kind of breath. It seems to have surpassed the ordinary late-stage powerhouses of the 8-star Dozian, the two Yang Xian and Shen Hong. Seeing this scene, Shi Wushuang and Lei Luo Chen looked at each other with hatred in their eyes. It looked very gloomy. Their plan was to first bring Xiao Yang to justice and enter the spirit sea to collect medicinal materials. If the two of them hadn't changed temporarily, how could this situation have arisen? Hoo, good guy. It's actually a monster known for its ferocity, the evil dragon of ice and fire. Xiao Yang couldn't help but say when the water waves surrounding the behemoth's body slowly disappeared. Looking up, the two huge heads were swaying, one was lingering with endless flames, the other was filled with endless ice threads, and on top of his body, the incomparably thick blue-brown dragon scales combined his flames and ice. The perfect combination of power has a terrifying defensive power. The sharp dragon claws on the claws are like a sharp blade, which is enough to smash any weapon. Even if it was just such a glance, Xiao Yang could smell a truly awe-inspiring fluctuation from this guy. This level of magical beast is probably a bit stronger than the late-stage 8-star Doze Yan from the ancient race, not to mention it is also a dragon. Crash. With a sound, countless sea waters, like an upside-down sky, slanted down directly from the sky over the Linghai Sea, and roared away at the embarrassed crowd below. The fierce attack power, even the space was shaking violently. Right. Cough. Just as the sky and the sea were about to attack everyone, a pitch-black chain and a giant cauldron with a green glow descended from the sky, and two figures with sluggish breath stood among them. The strength of these two guys should not be underestimated. Xiao Yang said solemnly in front of Yaoichen and Hun Mu's joint action to dispel the attack of the Icefire Evil Dragon. Brother, are you all right? Just after the attack was lifted, the two bodies fell directly, and a few people below quickly caught it. Yaro Yixuan couldn't help but asked with a crying expression on his face. We're fine, but this guy is too strong, exhausted the strength of both of us, and didn't repel him. Yaoichen slowly closed his eyes and said ashamed. At the beginning, Yaoichen entered the ceremony with the determination to win, but with Xiao Yang's performance one after another, coupled with his sister Yaro Yixuan's enlightenment, he became calm about the outcome, and then he took the initiative to make peace with him. After the soul was broken, he covered many pharmacists to retreat from the spiritual sea, otherwise, without the two of them, these weak alchemists would have been dying. Xiao Yang. I have never admired anyone in my life, you are my first, so I. Hun Mu on the side stood up forcibly, his eyes constantly on the ice and fire evil dragon, and Xiao Yang above the sea of spirits wandering, resolutely said. If you have any last words, let's keep the alchemy comparison. Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly when he heard the words. Immediately, hot amber flames appeared all over his body, forming a flame storm to protect everyone. For some reason, Xiao Yang always felt that the people from the Soul Clan and the people from the Soul Palace were two completely different species. That guy is very strong, I'll go with you. At this moment, the Ice Soul Evil Dragon Shunwei is unmatched, but Yaro Yixuan said with a blushing heartbeat, she knew the danger this time, but now here apart from Xiao Yang, there are not many people with fighting power. If they are hiding, I am afraid that they are all likely to be buried here. Let's go. Xiao Yang did not say a word, and directly condensed the amber flame into two fire clouds, carrying Yaro Yixuan towards the position of the Ice and Fire Evil Dragon. The Ice and Fire Evil Dragon has two heads. With the cooperation of one ice and one fire, it is an invincible existence among the human powerhouses of the same level, and I can't know its weaknesses. However, I can resist its fire attribute head for 10 seconds. Within 10 seconds, all its flame power will be ineffective against you, and you can only rely on you for the rest. Above the fire clouds, the profound soul power in the body was mobilized, but this way of operating the soul power was something Xiao Yang had never heard of. Ice and Fire Evil Dragon. It's just a monster with weak dragon blood. Xiao Yang nodded at Yaro Yixuan, and then his eyes flashed with madness. As the distance got closer, the oppression that Xiao Yang and the two felt became more and more tyrannical. He raised his head slightly, and looked at the Ice and Fire Evil Dragon entrenched in the vortex of the abyss of the spirit sea. It was two monsters. With his head slightly out of the water, he stared at everyone with a contemptuous expression, as if he was looking down at an ant. Then, except for the two heads, there were all blue-brown scales on his body. These scales contained the power of ice and fire, and the entire body was covered with fire. The body was completely wrapped up, revealing an extremely terrifying, shocking power from top to bottom. That's its pride. The Dragon Clan is the top of the spiritual food chain, and anyone who has a slight relationship with it cannot escape this innate sense of superiority. Let's do it. Xiao Yang sneered, and covered the flame to protect Yaro Yixuan's mysterious power, and the endless flames on his body were like a rising sun, shining with endless brilliance. At this moment, the Icefire Evil Dragon slowly remembered something in the contemptuous eyes, and even from Xiao Yang's body, it really smelled a terrifying power. That is also the power of the Dragon Clan, but the Dragon Clan's breath contained in it is 100 times more tyrannical than himself. It seems that it was provoked by a small creature like Xiao Yang. The two heads of the Ice and Fire Evil Dragon raised their heads to the sky and roared, and an extremely surging force was injected into the water column around the body, greedy and bloody. The dragon's eyes stared at Xiao Yang, wishing to smash Xiao Yang's corpse into 10,000 pieces. Tear it off. Being stared at by this big guy, Xiao Yang only felt that his soul was shocked, and bursts of icy cold emerged, and suddenly he didn't stand on the spot. Crack. Just as Xiao Yang left his forefoot, the sea where he was standing instantly turned into an ice sculpture. The extremely cold aura was terrifying. Little human beings dare to care about the treasure of this seat, You are courting death. Seeing Xiao Yang escape from his first round of attacks, the Icefire Evil Dragon spat out his endless killing intent. Accompanied by his angry roar, the entire Spirit Sea was raging, and the sky-reaching water columns gathered from the bottom of the sea, quietly crawling beside him. Why do you have to fight so hard? Why don't you sit down and have a cup of tea? Xiao Yang smiled calmly. At this time, the power in his body was rapidly mobilizing. The pressure this guy put on Xiao Yang was unusual and must not be taken lightly. Looking for death. Seeing that there was no sign of everyone exiting, the plump body of the Icefire Evil Dragon instantly sank into the spiritual sea, while countless water jets shot towards Xiao Yang, and the terrifying airflow contained in them made the entire spiritual sea violently violent. Roar, loud and loud. Why is this guy so violent? It stands to reason that even if Yang Xian and the two angered him, he would not be so angry as a guardian. On Xiao Yang's body, the blessing of the dragon god transformation slowly emerged, and immediately resisted the attacks of countless water columns. Xiao Yang, be careful, this guy is extremely powerful, and the power of water and fire is even more unpredictable. Seeing the ice and fire evil dragon hiding in the sea of spirits, the injured Hunmu, Yaroichen, and others could not help but not far away. Roaring, their voices are hoarse, and they can't help Xiao Yang now, but they were just defeated by this guy's power of ice and fire, helplessly reminding Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang snorted coldly, without hesitation. With the blessing of the first transformation of the dragon god and the protection of the holy flame, the figure burst out, and the ancient ruler behind him took down the situation, and he held both hands, condensing the strength of the whole body, slammed into the Linghai below directly in midair. Boom. This time, he didn't use any fighting skills. He just used his own strength to display it. The sky-shattering light flashed out. With a lightning-like offensive, it easily disintegrated the countless water column attacks, and immediately took advantage of the situation to hide. The ice and fire evil dragon in the spirit sea blasted away. The tyrannical soul force made Xiao Yang lock on the icefire evil dragon long ago, and immediately the one Kai carrying the flame did not deviate in any way, and hit the icefire evil dragon's body with the power of thunder. The icefire evil dragon only felt a sudden shock in his body, and a fiery burning sensation on his body made him dazed, but the indestructible blue-brown dragon scales did not have any damage, just a slight dent, not helpful. What a solid defense. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yang frowned. He couldn't break its defense even with the fire of holy flame. Xiao Yang's attack made the already angry icefire evil dragon even more angry, the eyes in the two heads became red, and a evil spirit swept out. After a while, the two with his head and mouth wide open, two brown beams of light and an ice blue beam of light, with two completely different powers, beheaded Xiao Yang aside. The second beam of light is obviously of water and fire attributes, and its power is extremely turbulent. If it is contaminated by the slightest, I am afraid it will collapse in an instant. Tear it. Xiao Yang didn't have time to retreat, but felt that the second beam of light was coming, and he was isolated and suppressed by its power, unable to move at all. The second beam of light is like a world-annihilating light. Wherever it goes, the space trembles, and even some unlucky ghosts are contaminated by the second beam of light, turning into ice sculptures, burning people, and miserable voices in an endless stream. Xiao Yang, get ready. At the critical moment, Yarrow Ishuan's beautiful eyes flickered, and a light voice flashed out with a burst of brilliant rays of light. The ray of light is like a rainbow, extremely beautiful, but it is filled with a touch of unparalleled soul power. That kind of attack is like a soul attack, but there are slight similarities and differences. Okay. No phase slash. Feeling that the fire attribute power on the icefire evil dragon greatly reduced his suppression, Xiao Yang's body stabilized again, and the surging power was poured into the ancient ruler. I don't know what power. When Yarrow Ishuan's soul power invaded the flame beam in the two beams of light, the beam of flame was abruptly stuck in the air, only the icy blue beam with the whistling wind blasted towards Xiao Yang aggressively. Behead me. Before he had time to think about Yarrow Ishuan's actions, Xiao Yang roared angrily, and the invisible energy, accompanied by an incomparably hot flame, went towards the ice blue beam of light. The fierce attacks of the two caused a huge wave of hundreds of feet, and after a few breaths, the attacks of the two fell quietly, turning into countless tiny water columns, and finally returned to calm. Break me. Just after the ice blue light beam was resolved, Xiao Yang ignored the violently tumbling do qi in his body, and directly grasped it into a fist shape, attached to endless flames, and punched the flame beam in the sky with one punch. A fist shattered, and the scorching fire wave filled everyone's heart with a sense of astonishment. This human being is so terrifying. No, I'm being careless. It turns out that this group of human beings are trying to get rid of the tiger and leave the mountain. Just when the Icefire Evil Dragon was about to use all its strength, the two heads emitted a faint light, and their heads turned their heads at the same time. Staring at the bottom of the spiritual sea, it seems that someone has entered somewhere. Where is the most precious treasure in the entire Linghai? Where to run? Xiao Yang snorted coldly when he noticed the strangeness of the ice and fire dragon, raised the ancient ruler, surrounded by flames like a fire descended to the earth, and went to fight. Hey! With a sound, the Icefire Evil Dragon had no time to control Xiao Yang, but the blue-brown dragon scales on his body were slashed by Xiao Yang, and a trace of pain was transmitted to his head. A group of ants, I can't spare you. Wait! The Icefire Evil Dragon roared in the sky, but he ignored Xiao Yang, and he didn't care about the severe pain that spread from his body. His expression was extremely nervous. The skyrocketing turned out to be swimming towards the depths of the spirit sea. You guys stay here. I'll go down and have a look. Xiao Yang changed his body, the flames wrapped his body, and jumped directly into the sea of spirits, chasing after the ice and fire evil dragon. As for the people above Linghai, they were still in fear because the temporary crisis was lifted, but how did the ice and fire evil dragon, so tyrannical that even the powerhouses of the ancient race couldn't solve it with the help of Xiao Yang's hands, became so easy? Or did the ice and fire evil dragon do it on purpose? Tear it. Xiao Yang's pressure increased greatly just after he entered the spiritual sea. Even if the energy barrier formed by the holy flames blocked the invasion of the sea water, waves of icy chills were transmitted to Xiao Yang's mind. It seemed that they can ignore the defense of the holy flame and directly attack Xiao Yang himself. The temperature contained in the spirit sea was extremely terrifying, and there were bursts of dim light around, and the enormous pressure in the water abyss greatly affected Xiao Yang's speed. The group is wrapped, and there are quietly standing medicinal materials of different shapes. To collect these medicinal materials, you can only activate the respective medicines. What's going on down there? It's actually able to make the Icefire Evil Dragon so anxious. And there are no traces of Yang Xian and Shen Hong. Could it be that the actions of the Icefire Evil Dragon have something to do with them? Xiao Yang's eyes were extremely vigilant. After the breath, Xiao Yang's soul power was blocked, so he could only follow the ice and fire evil dragon towards the bottom of the sea. The Icefire Evil Dragon didn't care, its speed skyrocketed and flew towards the bottom of the spirit sea. The violent aura in its two heads was like a monster in madness. At this moment, it was extremely angry and guarded by itself. If the treasure that has been in existence for thousands of years is stolen by others, I am afraid he will be furious. At the same time, at the bottom of the Linghai Sea below. Is this the core place where the ice and fire evil dragon guards? Yang Xian and Shen Hong looked at each other, the rushing water around them suppressed their strength, and suddenly saw the bottom of the sea, a pool of silt emerged. Just above the silt, there was a burst of vitality, and it was obvious that there might be some unworldly treasure in it. Let's go and see. Yang Xian and Shen Hong can't support each other alone, so they can only cheer each other up, and then the breath of the whole body emerges, and they slowly walk away to the mud at the bottom, ready to find out. The two had not yet touched the silt position, but felt a repulsive force pushing their bodies away. After a while, a rushing undercurrent above the Sea of Ling, accompanied by a behemoth, burst out. No, go back. At this moment, the two of Yang Xian felt a chill in their hearts, and their toes pointed on the void and quickly retreated. If that kind of terrifying power did not defend, I am afraid that the two of them would be in an extremely terrifying crisis. Damn human. I'm going to tear you apart. With a slam, a deafening roar emerged, and the ice and fire evil dragon turned into a two-color beam of light entwined with ice and fire, flashing at the bottom of the spirit sea, and whistling away directly at the two of Yang Xian, with a menacing momentum, as if entering the realm of Noah. Dragon scales? My good guy, he actually stole the dragon scales of the Icefire Evil Dragon. No wonder this guy is so furious. Xiao Yang hid in the dark, the huge soul power covering his body, so he could not be discovered by the Icefire Evil Dragon for a while. The blue-brown dragon scales in Shen's hands suddenly became clear. Dragon scales are the pride of dragon creatures, and actions such as taking their dragon scales and peeling their skins are like killing and punishing them, and they are extremely hated by dragons. It turns out that I wanted to eat alone. His gaze shifted. Xiao Yang found that there was a faint light shining in the mud below, and the touch in the light was actually similar to the spiritual palace in his own body. Let them fight. It's not appropriate to expose all means now. Xiao Yang muttered quietly, and suddenly chose to stand by and watch. Let this beast see through our plan. Shen Hong, stop it with my hands. I will use its dragon scales to try to get closer to the bottom. If it is successful, we will be half of the things below. Yang Xian snorted coldly, his speed skyrocketed, holding the blue-brown dragon scale in his hand, go directly to the silt below, trying to take out its treasure. However, at this time, with the protection of the dragon scales, the repelling power was greatly reduced in a hurry. Yang Xian was overjoyed, and tried his best to mobilize the dragon scales and his own strength. The tooth of the black snake. Seeing this, Shen Hong felt extremely aggrieved, but the attack that was as strong as the ice and fire dragon could only bite his teeth hard, and the two of them were in a mess. In order to take this treasure for themselves, it has already angered the other contestants. If they fail, I am afraid that the end of the two of them will be in a state of doom. The voice just fell, and the hot flames emerged from the whole body, forming a fierce and ferocious flame snake directly on the seabed. Under the control of Shen Hong, it exploded like a poisonous snake and shot at it, trying to resist the ice and fire evil dragon's attack. Although Shen Hong said that his strength is not bad, but the ice-fire evil dragon is not a simple thing, and the two of them are the culprits who angered the ice-fire evil dragon. Shen Hong's attack was easily defeated by the ice-fire evil dragon. The attack of the smashing bamboo was released, and the fierce killing intent and anger made Shen Hong slightly startled. If it continued like this, I am afraid that they would die. Light curtain. At this moment, Shen Hong smelled an awe-inspiring awe that was infinitely close to death. His eyes became dignified, his fingers were surging, and then a scroll of Angelica's sheepskin appeared, with countless mysteries depicted on the scroll. The mysterious lines clearly came from the hands of the strong, but he didn't have time to hesitate. His fingers squirmed and tore them apart in an instant. Boom! The ancient sheepskin scroll had just been released, and a sacred and inviolable light filled the entire seabed. The dazzling sacred light enveloped Shen Hong, making it impervious to water and fire, and for a while, the ice and fire evil dragon's attack was lost. Target. Light attribute one-time fighting skill scroll? Xiao Yan couldn't help but muttered when he saw this. For some reason, Xiao Yan always felt that this Shen Hong had a very close relationship with the Holy See. After blinking his eyes, Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes slightly. Looking down Yang Xian, he found that Yang Xian's body suddenly stopped moving, as if he was vigilant and hesitant. Yang Xian, okay. This guy is a peerless monster that is comparable to the late human 8-star Doze Yan, and I can't stop it. With such a mysterious blow, Shen Hong's body was squirming, and one after another tyrannical attack emerged, but it did not stop. Without causing much damage to the Icefire Evil Dragon, he couldn't help roaring at Yang Xian below. A creature of the level of the Icefire Evil Dragon surpasses human beings of the same level by too many in terms of combat power and intelligence. Their actions are no different from sending them to death. Wang buzzing. Yang Xian didn't care to respond to Shen Hong. He only felt that the closer he got to this colorless and transparent silt, the power in his body quickly flowed away, and even an astonishing chill appeared in his heart. You all have to die. The light curtain slowly disappeared, the Icefire Evil Dragon's body swayed, its two heads were raised high, and a surging power was slowly brewing in its four eyes. The monstrous anger surged out from the two heads, and the splendid energy of water and fire became more and more intense, which induced his demeanor to be extraordinarily and terrifying. It seems that under this blow, the whole world will be eclipse. Bang bang bang. In the water curtain, the huge body of the ice and fire evil dragon directly imprisoned the void of the entire seabed, so that the two could not leave here, so its body lifted slightly, and the scarlet bloodlight above its two heads extraordinarily strange. After a while, there was a miniature version of the dragon of ice and fire, condensing the supreme power in its chest, shaking the entire seabed. Although the ice and fire energy dragon is quite small, anyone can smell a truly scalp-numbing terrifying aura from it. Such a tyrannical attack was the Xeon form after the ice and fire evil dragon fused the power of ice and fire. With the power of the two of them, it was impossible to resist. This is broken. Looking at this scene, Shen Hong's expression became unprecedentedly solemn, his fists could not help clenching tightly, and even some rather obscure powers in Jie were about to move. Forget it. This time I came here just to obtain the title of the #1 alchemist in the mainland. There is no need to die for a treasure. Yang Xian, you should keep this thing for yourself. Shen Hong's face sank, and then a scroll appeared, crushed directly. His body was instantly involved in it, and he left here. Light System Time-Space Transfer Scroll. This is something that only some high-level officials in the Holy See can have. The details of this guy are unknown. It seems that he has to guard against him. Xiao Yang lost his voice. Shen Hong, CS sect. Bastard. At this moment, Yang Xian angrily roared. He was clearly a little short of being able to successfully collect the treasure. How could Shenhong be so greedy for life and fear of death? Fall under my divine might, ants. Ice and fire demon dragon pillar. A deafening roar was directly vented, and the entire imprisoned seabed was surging, and the violent energy couldn't help setting off huge waves hundreds of meters in the sky, and muffled sounds came one after another. Surrounded by pure ice and fire energy, the miniature version of the dragon's shadow jumped up and down, and suddenly swept away towards the flames below. Wherever it passed along the way, the space burst open, and the tyrannical force made the energy of the heaven and earth hear. Instant failure. Heavenly flames are immortal. Feeling the attack of death, Yang Xian held his breath, his eyes closed, the blood all over his body boiled, his muscles suddenly tense, and at the same time, countless flames vented out, directly on his body above, formed a towering body of energy. Doing Emperor's body. It's really a long time ago. Xiao Yang shook his head. No matter how talented this Yang Xian was, at the later stage of the 8-star Dozian, the Icefire Evil Dragon's angry blow would probably be immortal. Seriously injured. Boom. The fiery red Do Emperor's body is extremely sturdy, and his level is probably as high as the 9th rank. With the addition of Yang Xian's body that surpasses the level of the Great Heavenly Seed, his power is only inferior to that of Saint Yang's flame. The entire body of Do Di is extremely bright. Destroy it. The Icefire Evil Dragon snorted coldly, and suddenly the two heads exuded a domineering aura of who is the master. Emperor Do's body shattered instantly, and countless fragments formed a piercing scorching sun, shining on the entire seabed. Yang Xian's chest was also severely injured, and the blood in his body was violently tumbling, as if there was a threat of destruction at any time. With a sound, Yang Xian spurted out a mouthful of blood. Immediately, the temperature on the piercing scorching sun increased sharply, and his body was beating rapidly. Taking advantage of the moment of contempt by the ice and fire dragon, he escaped from the crack on the side. Hoo ho ho. Watching the two culprits escape from their attacks one after another, the huge head of the Icefire Evil Dragon couldn't help roaring. They originally stole the dragon's scales on their own bodies, and then used the trick of turning the tiger away from the mountain, trying to covet the precious silt that they had guarded for thousands of years, which made them escape. Endless anger and killing intent vented out, turning this place into a real sea bottom. As expected of the gods of the ancient race. Seeing this, Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly. He thought that these two guys would die under the claws of the Icefire Evil Dragon, but he underestimated their strength. Boom. In the underwater world, the Ice and Fire Evil Dragon roared wildly, venting its long-suppressed anger, and the minds of many forces who watched this scene from the outside world were all black, especially the ancestors of Yang Yun and Shun. She old monster. Big guy, why are you moving so much? While the Icefire Evil Dragon was roaring like this, Xiao Yang also paced slowly and walked out from a hidden void on the seabed. Human boy. Do you dare to follow me? Just use your life to quell my anger. At this moment, the Icefire Evil Dragon wanted to slash all the human beings with 1,000 swords. Xiao Yang just appeared in front of him, and immediately sneered. As there were no extra obstacles in the way, Xiao Yang's body changed slightly, and the dragon transformation was displayed, and the terrifying pressure of the orthodox dragon family swept out like the wrath of the gods. Long Wei, you are a human. How is that possible? At this moment, the anger in the mind of the Icefire Evil Dragon was temporarily suppressed and calmed down. The power contained in this dragon roar is enough to make it impure. The dragon blood became quiet. The ice and fire demon pillar stopped moving and crawls down gently, daring not to act rashly like a servant. Dragon God transformation, fourth transformation, half-dragon transformation. Seeing the shocking gaze of the Icefire Evil Dragon, Xiao Yang's eyes changed slightly, and he immediately laughed. Catcher, catcher. A blue halo slowly lingered, accompanied by Xiao Yang's long-lasting dragon roar, which was extremely shocking here. Baxia Dragon King. Icefire Evil Dragon has seen His Majesty the Dragon King. At this moment, the countless restlessness calmed down, and the Icefire Evil Dragon also dropped its two heads completely and said respectfully to Xiao Yang. Regardless of whether Xiao Yang is a human or a dragon, the genuine pattern of dominance on his body is enough to easily kill him. At this moment, the Icefire Evil Dragon has no disobedience and humbly crawls beside Xiao Yang. Get up. I walked out of the Dragon Clan to find the world of the Great Thousand. The juniors are good to practice, and there is a slight chance to enter the Dragon Clan soon. The treasure below is useful to me, you should step back. Xiao Yang leaned back and walked over, and the ancient voice swept out along with the half-dragon's domineering power. Yes. The ice and fire evil dragon heard the words, hurriedly evacuated the surrounding prisons, and fled away in a hurry. Even his heart was still trembling for a while. The Xiao Dragon King is one of the 9 kings of the dragon family. They are all at the level of reincarnation, and even if they are seriously injured, their power is absolutely impossible to resist. Following Xiao Yang's shot, the Icefire Evil Dragon ran far away and did not dare to act rashly. Next, what exactly is this? Xiao Yang could not have imagined that the power of half-dragon transformation and dragon might would have such a tyrannical and shocking effect on dragon monsters. He immediately laughed, but what happened just now was naturally just made up by Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang didn't know the current situation among the dragon clan. Soul power. As soon as the laughter fell, Xiao Yang's majestic soul power was vented out, and he blasted away at the mud below. Gulu. Invaded by Xiao Yang's soul power, that mass of silt exudes a dazzling power, and that power is howling violently with the spiritual palace in his body. That's holy air. This video will end here.